Got him!
Welcome to Fish North Georgia the Guide. Here's Shane Dover.
Hey guys, this is Shane Dover here with Fish North Georgia the Guide. I have a fishing report for you from July 4th, Independence Day, from Cedar Creek Reservoir in Gillsville, Georgia, located off of Timber Ridge Road in Hall County. It's approximately 143 acres, the body of water there is. It's a fairly grassy reservoir. It's been known to have a lot of grass in it over the years. It's some of it's died off. The actual lake level now is down about 3 or 4 foot from full pool. Not exactly sure why. I'm sure it's got something to do with management. But so I went out July 4th, tried to catch some. I got a tournament coming up. Tried to do some pre-fishing because I've had a hard time at Cedar Creek over the years. It's not been one of my favorite reservoirs to fish. But yesterday the water temperature was in the upper 80s, 84 degrees. About midday it jumped on up to about 85 degrees. But yesterday there was no wind, it was calm. Water was clear for the most part. There was some stain towards the front end of the reservoir, but for the most part it was fairly clear. A lot of grass, shallow grass back in the back part of the reservoir, the back channel. And so not really fishing it that much, not really knowing exactly what the fish are doing this time of year out there. I kind of went with the approach of fishing a jig, which that's difficult in that grass because you end up getting a lot of grass marred up on whatever lure you're using. But with the calm conditions like it was, no wind, I just figured a jig would work really good out there. And I was able to catch a couple on the jig. I concentrated on areas where I could find some rock, which there's not a whole lot out there, but there's a little bit. And areas where there's some wood. And I got 2 decent bites on a jig, on a Georgia blade jig. And I caught a huge catfish. This catfish was probably 3.5 pounds on a jig. So that goes to show you that a Georgia blade jig is a multi-species jig for sure. And the jig I was using is a Georgia blade root beer purple tinsel. Here's the card. I've got a couple left on this card. That's the number, if I can get it to focus there. Anyway, it's 53835. This is known as root beer purple tinsel. This is 3/8 ounce. And Mike and Pam Shepherd and Georgia Blade are really great people. They've actually renamed this jig after me. This is my favorite jig to throw from Georgia Blade. And they've renamed this jig Shane Special. And that's a great honor. I mean, Georgia Blade has been really good to me over the years. I really enjoy representing them to the best of my abilities, and their products are just known true fish catching machines. I've caught a ton of fish on Georgia Blade jigs. This one in particular, the root beer purple tinsel, just the light color of it, along with that purple tinsel that gives it that extra pop and that extra flash, is just killer on these reservoirs and lakes. I catch a lot on Lake Lanier with this jig. Anywhere I go, no matter what body of water I'm fishing, I'm going to have a jig tied on, and it's going to be a Georgia Blade jig. Now what I pair that up with is a trailer. I pair that up with a Zoom Ultra Vibe Speed Crawl in Green Pumpkin Magic. Now this trailer I've used for a long time, and I've used a lot of different trailers over the years, and I have settled on this is my primary trailer. 90% of the time this is what's on the back of my jig, and it's that purple tinsel in it, or I'm sorry, the Green Pumpkin Magic has like some silver and green and black flake in it. It's kind of hard to see the silver in there, but you'll see if you pick up a package at the store. It's got a little silver flake, and what that silver flake does, and that green flake for that matter, is it gives it a lot of flash once the sun hits it. So if you're fishing clear water and you've got some sun and you've got this light colored root beer purple tinsel jig, And this Green Pumpkin Magic trailer, when the sun hits that, the purple tinsel and the silver flake in this trailer gives it a little sparkle, a little something extra that those fish can key in on, and it can entice a bunch of strikes that you wouldn't normally get from another jig. Or the fish could see it, you know, and realize it's not real and not bite it. A lot of people don't fish the jig because they don't get bit a lot on it. But I think if you try to match the jig to the water clarity and the conditions, you'll get a lot more bites. One thing I do with this is, if you notice, it's got these little appendages on it. It's got 3 little appendages on the side. I actually cut this first one right here off. I just cut that off at the first appendage right here below it. There's a little ring, and I basically use this bottom part of the trailer. That's what I use on my jig, and I'm kind of a little picky about it. If you notice, it's got little eyeballs right there, and I always make sure the little eyeballs are pointed up. It's just something I do in particular. But this particular trailer is nice and flat on both sides, so it skips great. It's subtle. It's a subtle presentation. It's not a big splash in the water. These little kickers on there, the little ultra vibe claws, they move a ton of water, put off a lot of vibration in the water, and it gives the bass something to key in on. It's just a great all-around trailer. So something else that because of the grass out at Cedar Creek, like I said, it's hard to fish a jig in a lot of those places because you're just gonna bring back what I call a salad every time you reel in. So one thing that works great out there is like a swim bait, like a something with an underspin. And Georgia Blade has you covered there as well. They have what's called a Shad Spin. And this is the Shad Spin that I like to use out there. It's a Georgia Blade Shad Spin. I believe this one's 3/8 of an ounce. They make this available with different types of blades, blade colors, configurations. As you can see, this thing just spins very easily. I don't have any wind right now, but I've used this thing a lot. But they make it different sizes. It's a Georgia Blade Shad Spin. You can find these at a lot of different places. I know Lanier Baits carries them. Fish North Georgia on their website, I believe they carry them. It's a great underspin. It tracks really well in the water. No matter what your retrieve is, you can reel it slow, you can reel it fast. The way this head is designed, you can see it's a slim head that's kind of wide at the bottom. It tracks perfectly through the water. It's got a nice sharp, kind of a light wire, medium wire, I guess you would say, hook. I pair this with a Lanier Baits 3.5-inch swimmer as a trailer. This particular color is blueback herring. I like this color a lot. I use it a lot, especially on Lanier. This is deadly on Lanier. But Lanier Baits makes these swimmers, 3.5-inch swimmers, in several different colors that you can choose from that'll match the hatch and will work great at whatever body of water you're fishing. So that's the underspin that I like to use, and I personally throw this on a 7-foot medium heavy rod, and I use like a 7.5 to 1 gear ratio loose reel, fluorocarbon line, 12-pound fluorocarbon, a 10 to 12-pound fluorocarbon. Reel it real slow, let it be ticking on the bottom. If you notice, the head of this thing's kind of chewed up because you want to try to hit. If you're in an area that doesn't have a lot of grass, you want to try to be kind of bumping it off the bottom. If there is a lot of grass, you want to kind of let this underspin tick the top of that grass. You don't want it to go down in it because you're going to bring back a salad, but you want it to be running across the top of that grass. That lets those bass, looks like a bait fish trying to get away across the top of that grass, and those bass will come up out of there and just engulf it. So that works really great. But sometimes if you don't want all that flash from an underspin blade, you can use this. Here's another one that I like to use. This is a Lanier Baits ball jig head. Just a round ball jig head. I use that same 3.5-inch swimmer. Different colors are available at lanierbaits.com. Nice light wire hook. And this thing comes through grass great. That rounded head on it comes right through there. It's got the 90-degree line tie straight up. This thing tracks really well. You can count it down You can find that grass on your graph. You can count it down to that depth and reel this thing real slow on like a spinning rod. You can cast it a mile. It's like a bullet. And reel this thing same way, ticking the top of that grass as it's coming through there, and they will just hammer this thing. It's a great bait to use in grass situations like that. It's also a great bait to use if you're fishing somewhere over brush piles, and you want to call those fish up. You can tell how deep they are on your graph. Cast this out, count it down, reel it across the top of those brush piles. They'll come up and hammer it. So some great baits from Georgia Blade Lanier Baits. Another Georgia Blade favorite of mine that I use a lot. If I had some wind yesterday at Cedar Creek, I would have used this on some of the points out there and some of the shallow areas too, as well as the grass. Is a spinnerbait. It's hard to beat a spinnerbait. This particular spinnerbait, I believe, is color number 11 on Georgia Blade's website. It's like it's got some chartreuse in it, some white with black. It's got the same shape, design head as the Shad Spin that Georgia Blade makes. These are available in multiple different sizes, weights. The blade configuration that I like to use with this one is 2 gold willow leaf blades, or these are Colorado, I'm sorry. And they spin so easy. As soon as it hits the water, it starts spinning. You don't have to put a lot of work into getting the blades to spin, and it tracks perfect. It tracks perfectly straight. No matter if you're slow rolling it or whether you're burning it through the water, this thing is going to come straight in. All you have to do is make sure that your wire with your blades is in line with the point of your hook. Because sometimes this particular one right here, I've caught a lot of fish on this particular spinnerbait, and I've had to readjust it because, like spots on Lake Lanier, they're aggressive. This thing, the wire on this is kind of light, so it lets it have a lot of vibration. And when a spot grabs this thing and goes crazy with it, this thing, it'll be all bent up, jacked up. This thing will come in, and you'll think this is never going to work again. Well, all I do is I straighten the wire back out. I make sure it's in line with the line of the hook, with the point of the hook, with the tip of just make sure it's in line. It's like tuning a crankbait. Once you get those in line with each other, got your wire straight, it's great. Cast it back out, it's going to come through the water perfectly straight. The trailer, I always use a trailer on my spinnerbaits. Trailer I use is the same deal. Lanier Baits 3.5-inch swimmer. Now you can use a Hi-Tech, you can use a lot of different stuff. I have found that the Lanier Baits swimmer is durable enough that it works really great. I've called it, this is I believe watermelon ghost. Again, different colors that they have to match the hatch, but 3.5-inch swimmer is durable, works really great as a trailer on spinnerbaits. I love throwing this particular color number 11 is one of my many favorites from Georgia Blade. You can check them out, guys, at georgiablade.com. Find a local North Georgia retail store near you where you can purchase their stuff, as well as on fishnorthgeorgia.com. Hammond's, I believe, has an online store as well. Lanier Baits, a lot of Lanier Baits products are sold on Fish North Georgia, as well as lanierbaits.com and several of the local tackle stores here in North Georgia. That's my fishing report. I mean, coming forward on Cedar Creek, it's tough. I hope it gets a lot better because I got a tournament coming up there and I hope I do well at it. It's a reservoir I'm still trying to figure out. It's fairly close to my home, about 45 minutes away, but it's one I've had a tough time with that reservoir over the years. I've caught a few decent ones, but it's just something. It's one of those that's been a thorn in my side for a while to figure that place out. But I'm working on it. I'm going to get better at it. I'm hoping that underspin bite, that swim bait bite, works really good, and the jig bite's going to get better as the summer goes on. Anyway, hope that helps somebody a little bit somewhere, and that's my fishing report for Cedar Creek Reservoir there in Gillsville, Georgia, on Fish North Georgia. I appreciate you tuning in to the guide. Great stuff Fish North Georgia is doing. Hope it helps you get out on the water and catch some good fish. Thank you. Check out Dover Fishing Adventures too on Facebook. You can follow me on there, see a lot of pictures. I got a picture of the catfish I caught, a picture of the bass I caught out there. So check it out, Dover Fishing Adventures. Thank you guys. See you next time.
Thanks for watching the guide here at Fish North Georgia. Our mission is to build a community of anglers to give you the best and latest information to make your day on the water more successful. Make sure you subscribe to our channel, click the bell so you'll be notified of any future content. Make sure you check us out at fishnorthgeorgia.com, where we carry a large variety of bait manufacturers from here in the North Georgia area. So we appreciate you being part of our community, and we'll see you soon.